Let's get stuck into this because these guys have been very kind enough to give us our time. We mentioned at the top of the podcast, Chris Derrick and Nathan Briffa. Chris, we'll start with you. Thank you so much for your time this evening.
Thanks for having me, guys.
So, first thing that we like to do is, because obviously our audience, more often than not, would love to get to know you guys. Tell us a little bit about yourself, Chris, and how you came to be the CEO of Order Esports.
Chris Derrick, CEO of Order Esports, as you say. I've been in the seat now coming up on 1 year. Prior to that, I was at the AFL helping them with esports for a brief stint. And prior to that, at Southern Cross Oz Stereo as head of digital strategy and operations. Spent about 2 years looking at esports for them and trying to see if there was a way into it for Southern Cross Oz Stereo. Gave me a kind of good commercial overview of the industry, and love my games. I've only bbeen more and more drawn into it since then, and here I am, loving it.
What sucked you in through that period to the point where you kind of went, you know what, I'm all in. I want to work in this industry full time. There's so much here.
The people within the industry is the short answer to that, and the people are so passionate about not just esports itself, but gaming in general, about the industry and how it grows. And it's a legitimate, credible industry now. It's only going to get bigger and bigger. Video games is the biggest form of entertainment in the world, and esports is the fastest growing form of sport. So as somebody who loves their games, it makes sense to want to be involved in it.
Yep. Nathan Briffa, head of operations for Order Esports and CSGO team manager as well, gameplay and players side. What about you, mate? Tell us a little bit about yourself and how you ended up where you are today.
Yeah, I come to the scene from a totally different angle to Chris, in that I was just glued to my computer playing Counter-Strike and watching it competitively for a very long time. It might have been 2013. I started doing some work for Team Immunity. You guys are probably very familiar with the name, pretty storied and definitely aged in esports here. Started doing some work for them, working with their CS team with one of my good friends, Chris Rowlands, Imagine, and progressed my way through from a budding journalist, my aspiration at the time, through to team management, which went on to be with Kings, Winter Fox before they went there, back to Immunity, and then Order.
Gee whiz, Immunity. So, we're talking history here. You've seen a lot of change over the course of your time then.
I have definitely seen a lot of change to where we are today, yeah, no doubt.
So, look, we'll get stuck into a little bit more about Order Esports and how well you guys are going and absolutely flying, and even just talking about the path to pro and becoming a professional player and what that sort of life is like. But you guys are going to be at this coming Friday. So by the time people hear this on the podcast platforms, it'll be live. You'll be there. 11 a.m. at the EB Live Theatre, that is Eastern, for an incredible panel discussing the topic from player to pro, how the evolution of PC hardware enables people to make their passion a profession. A panel. Is it exciting? It sounds really exciting to me to stand up in front of a whole group of esports and video games enthusiasts that you'll find at PAX and to be able to discuss something that's so close to home.
Look, I'd certainly much rather be on a panel than having to be giving a presentation about it. That's for sure. Yeah. It's a great opportunity. We're up there supporting Alienware, great partners of ours. So really happy to be up there and talking about how hardware helps make better players. Nathan is much more of an expert on that than me, as he's just informed you. But really happy to be there.
So it's honestly a little bit surreal on my end, coming from being a consumer of these products and watching what they actually did to the professionalization of the space, to being on a panel talking about it. It really is surreal.
So, Nathan, let's get stuck into that in particular. And, feel free, obviously, to hold a little bit back because you guys have got this panel coming up. So you want to unload there. But the evolution of PC hardware and how it does enable people to make their passion a profession. We're not just talking about professionally in stadiums and around the world, but even the sort of equipment that you can get in your own home to start yourself off on that path to professionalism. We've come a long way.
We have definitely come a long way. I think the thing that really contrasts it for me is I used to frequent LAN cafes and internet cafes a lot as I was a kid, and I didn't have the money to have my own PC that would be capable of playing the games I wanted to play, let alone good enough internet to be able to do it with friends. So you'd go to LAN cafes, and that's where I started in CS, and every other game that grew to be more of a passion than it may have been worth at the time. But that's how it was. If you wanted to do it, you did have to go to an internet cafe, and that's very different to now, where we can sit here and even do a podcast like this on the machines we have. And the change in that hardware and what you can get into your home today has created a professional industry that at the time, no one, you would have been one of the crazy people if you were talking about it. Hey, in 10 years, we'll all be able to stream our games and make a living off it, not have to work a 9 till 5.
What? You're crazy.
That's right. But here we are doing it. So it is. We've definitely come a long way.
In terms of, this is a little bit chicken and the egg, but I'm really interested in this. You mentioned home internet technology, and we're going down that path. Do you think internet has driven the emergence and evolution of PC technology into homes instead of PC technology needing to get better or being better, and therefore internet had to catch up? Which way do you see it?
You're right. That is definitely very chicken and egg. I would say to some degree it was the hardware, because if you really are going to try and put one first, I would say it was the hardware, and that's purely because you need something. It's all well and good to have the tier 1 internet and the access to connective speeds that we do now, but you need to fill those lines with something. And the hardware had to be demanding that something was able to take all this bandwidth and turn it into something else. So I think it probably was hardware, but yeah, that is a hard one to answer.
There's a cheeky third option there, which is the software, which is the games themselves.
Of course,
which, I mean, obviously they run on the hardware, but gaming has evolved from being something that you played on the computer against the computer to something that's played online. Gaming is online these days, and esports is obviously the competitive form of that. But I think with the way that that's evolved, it's definitely there's who plays a game that's not online these days, I guess, is what I'm trying to badly say.
It's really struck me lately that exactly that. It's become very social gaming. Not just obviously with competitive esports, but also just, I don't really game much anymore on my own. I'm gaming with mates online. And that's because we've come to that point now where we can. And it's a good argument to fight back at people who give you shit about gaming so much. And, you say, well, I could be sitting there watching TV on my own on the couch, or gaming with some mates online, talking shit and having fun. It's actually become a lot more social. And I think that's a fantastic thing. Personally.
I agree. You're 100% right. And I think one of the coolest things that we're actually seeing evolve right now is the ability for, this hardware and this connectivity we're talking about has brought us to the point where consoles and crossplay between platforms has become massive, and that's including mobile. So there really is, it is massively social now. Most people, I would say, it's definitely like that for myself. Playing games with friends at all times, or not really doing it. And the fact that you can do it on every device now it's a whole new level that we have access to.
Yep.
Chris, the discussion around mobile and esports and stuff like that is one that is continuing to merge as we start to see companies who have a major stake in mobile games, like Tencent, for example, grow and become bigger, and that becomes more of a platform for people to play on and stuff like that. Is that something that, Order and esports teams in general are looking deeper into to make sure that they are on the path to catch it when it eventually hits in Australia?
Oh, definitely. I mean, I think, we see mobile esports being a lot bigger overseas, but it's something that we're constantly reviewing. What games we're in, what titles we're in. There's a lot of different factors that go into that in terms of the audiences of them, the competition structures, the support from the publishers, the prize money opportunities, sponsors, preferences, all of those different things. there's no reason why whether something's on a PC, on console, or on mobile is a excluding factor in terms of which title you select.
We're still a ways away from, I guess, here in Australia, hitting the marks and the hallmarks and benchmarks, I guess, of North America, Europe, so on and so forth. But we are certainly making inroads there. How far away do you think we are from hitting the same levels of uptake here in Australia as North America? Now, obviously, they have much larger populations than we do, so that takes a bit of a chunk into it. But if you were to talk ratios, for example, are we close?
Yeah, I think we're close. I mean, if you look at some of the major tournaments and events that we have throughout the year, IEM in Sydney, 15,000 odd people there. MEO in Melbourne had 17,000 people. We've got big leagues across multiple titles. There's a massive amount of endemic fan base support, and it's just about growing that out and extending it to both commercial parties and getting non-endemic sponsors involved, but also broader audiences as well. I think it's only a matter of time before that happens.
Yep.
Oh, it's very exciting.
It's exciting.
It really is very exciting. Oh, God, just watching it over the last few years, just grow and just see those people are starting to get really excited. When I have a catch up with the family like we did last night, and we just had some friends come around and stuff like that, and we're sitting around a table, and one of them who barely ever touches a computer, right? If you were to put him in the front of the PC that I've got, and it's, my PC's not a potato, it's a half a decent rig, but it's nothing that, what you guys at Order are playing on. But for him to sit there and go, man, I'm starting to see this thing about esports, my kids are talking about it, bloody exciting.
Yeah, it is. It really is.
Absolutely. I think, I'm probably a bit longer in the tooth than you guys, and
debatable.
Nathan said before. Well, as Nathan said before, you go and tell somebody you got a full-time job in esports in video gaming, it kind of blows people's mind. But once you get them in playing a game, then whether it's a first-person shooter or a MOBA or real-time strategy, fighting game, whatever, everybody has got a game that they like to play, and there's a format for you, and there's an esport around it. So it's definitely exciting.
Nathan, that's probably a conversation that you've had to have many times over the course of your career, and we are discussing things about the path to pro, and PC hardware has enabled that, and that is the case. But there's other barriers that you've had to overcome, and I guess one of those may in particular be that conversation of you can't earn a living from playing video games. How often have you had that conversation over the course of your career?
I wish I had $1 for every time I had it.
That'd be an earner in itself, yes.
Yeah, a lot. It's a strange conversation to have when you do have it, but to be honest, it's one that I like having, because you're really educating people that if they don't know that you can make a living, then they've got a ton of questions about why and how and what's going on. So it's definitely one that I enjoy answering. And it's funny. We're obviously on PAX Eve, and when people are listening to this, we'll be there live this year. And we were having a conversation today about PAX Australia when it first came here in 2013, and it was at the showgrounds, and it was pouring down rain as you were lining up to get food, and it was the coolest thing ever to finally have a PAX Australia. And to have those games and that kind of consumer experience coming here. So, being at that as a consumer, being here now in 2019, going into another PAX, and having conversations like this, it's enjoyable to be able to tell people what this path was, and that, you can actually make $1 in it. And if you go and look at what the gaming market looks like globally and worldwide, that it's actually much bigger than most people realize.
Yeah, absolutely. So you guys are, and part of the reason why is because the great team at Alienware reached out to us and said there is an opportunity for you guys to talk to Order ahead of PAX coming up this weekend. You are aligned with Alienware. like you must see some of the best tech on the market having this alignment, because it must go so far in terms of making sure that you guys are at the top of your game. Is there anything that you guys have seen that you can talk to us about that we're yet to see in the sort of public arena yet?
Nathan might want to talk about a certain monitor that they've got on display at PAX this week.
Yeah, you guys may have seen it. It was on show at, I believe they first showed it at Gamescom with a lot of their new ID stuff. But Alienware have got a 55-inch OLED panel there, 120 hertz OLED panel, 4K, an absolute specimen as far as monitors go, and the front runner in regards to that tech. And you need only look at their current monitor lineup and the 240 hertz rate that they're pushing on their premium monitors to know that Alienware are really doing something special in it, in my opinion, one of the most underdeveloped areas in, peripherals at this point, which is really good high quality monitors that you don't have to go through panel lotteries for, or, you have this amazing 240 hertz refresh rate on a high quality panel. And it's, it removes as many barriers as possible between you and playing as well as you possibly can.
Oh, that's awesome. God, that gets me. I'm excited.
You're excited?
I'm excited.
I'm a little
That
excited.
just fires me up.
I could have a few of these around here, eh? Far out, I could. Chicken! Now, guys.
We have to ask the question.
All right, go on.
You ask it.
All right,
It's your question.
I know it's my question. Oh, well, I got a couple of other questions before I hit that one. Just trust.
There's a chicken question coming.
You guys are going to absolutely love the chicken question. It'll be your favourite question you've ever been asked. I'll tell you now. It's amazing.
Big call, but we'll go with it.
We will absolutely run with it. Just a real quick one, and hit us with it. Nathan in particular, because you get to see this stuff firsthand, and obviously as a CSGO team manager, you guys are using this gear. What are you guys playing on at the moment?
We are playing on an Alienware Aurora desktop, the R9, absolutely flat spec, their latest 240 hertz monitors. If you've seen the machines, definitely, you definitely know what I'm talking about. If you haven't, come down and see them on Friday or across the weekend whenever you're there, because it is, it's the top line experience. It's what lets us prepare to play at every event that we play at and play in the best way possible.
Yep. Chris, what are you playing on? Is it a Mac? It's a Mac, isn't it?
It's embarrassing. How did you know?
Oh, God, it is.
I play on my phone.
Yep.
I play on my PlayStation. PC, mobile, console. We talked about it all.
Yes. Sensational.
Tick, tick, tick.
Now, guys, before we do let you go, because we understand it is a little bit later over in the eastern states than it is over here. And again, thank you so much for your time tonight. We really appreciate it. And there's going to be so much more for people to get stuck into when the panel rocks around. But before we do leave you, the famous Game of Australia question: what's your favourite part of the chicken? Chris, we'll start with you.
I'm a leg man for sure.
Oh.
Definitely leg.
Leg man.
Yeah,
You got to get those skinless chicken thighs.
Oh,
you
hello.
fry those up. Delicious.
Oh, God, that sounds sensational. Nathan?
I mean, that does sound good, but it's breast for me,
Breast,
mate. It's
yes.
breast. Yep.
I'm a breast man.
It's
You're a breast man, aren't you?
I'm a breast man.
Give a special shout out to the KFC zinger fillet.
Oh,
God.
now we're talking.
You went there.
Hello, Vicar.
Yeah.
Now we're talking. now I'm hungry.
It is without a doubt one of my favorite. You know why I like the breast? Because there's a lot of chicken there, but when you do go to KFC, God, it's wrapped in that hot and spicy gear and far out.
Well,
there's
anything
plenty of it.
KFC, legs or breasts.
Yeah, that'll
KFC,
do.
mate.
Yep.
Boom, I'm in. As we know.
You
Bloody
can't
wonderful.
argue there,
You cannot argue.
Oh, gee whiz. Hey, I know we've only scratched the surface with you guys, but there is plenty more depth to be seen. 11 o'clock at the EB Live Theatre for this PAX panel in particular. Some incredible names there. So Chris Sutphin, the Global Marketing Director, Premium Desktop Planning and Community Engagement from Dell will be there. Michelle Mannering, Hackathon Queen, Community Lead, GitHub and esports commentator. We know Michelle. She's an absolute ripper. And, of course, you guys as well, Chris Derrick and Nathan Briffa. We really appreciate your time. All the best with the continued successful Order Esports, and we will catch up with you guys again soon. Enjoy PAX.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having us.
Bloody legends.
Thanks for your time, guys. Speak to you later.
See you, boys.
Yeah.
Now, for anyone listening and watching, and I know Skittles is watching, I really regret now, back in about July, sending that email going, I don't think I can go to PAX, guys. I can't afford it.